You've probably heard that you need a brokerage account or a brokerage firm to start investing. And many of you have even started your investing journey with an app like Robinhood, as many of us did before and during the pandemic. But there are also so many other options out there for investing accounts with great features and benefits that you may not be aware of or even know where to begin in your research journey. Lucky for us, my lovely and intelligent co-host Jessica Inskip not only worked at some of these well-known brokerage firms, but also works with just about all of them in some way currently, or researches them thoroughly for what she does for her day job. And today, she's going to teach us how to choose the best brokerage firm for our individual needs. Isn't that right, Jess?
That is. Thank you for the kind words. Now that commissions are $0, meaning it doesn't cost anything for you to place a trade, and we can thank Robinhood for that many years ago. But because it doesn't cost anything, brokerage firms actually attract you by offering unique tools and features. But since we are all very different investors, we all have different needs. Some people may be long-term, you might be a passive investor, you might be more active, you might be engaged, you might value research. There's so many tools and features out there. That means we can align all of that with the brokerage firm that we choose. Where do we park our assets? This is literally my day job. I understand the markets through the lens of the retail trader, and I literally talk to every single brokerage firm, and they show me their tools and features, and I say who has the best one. That is literally my job.
And you don't have to just choose one brokerage firm, right?
Yeah, that's right. You can have as many as you want. Just remember, if it's IRAs, there's limitations to your annual IRA contribution. You can't go over that. You can put $1 in all of the accounts if you want, just can't go over the limit. Well, unless you work for a brokerage firm, then you don't have a choice. You have to park your assets there unless you get an exception.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
makes sense.
That was the first thing I did when I gave up my licenses. I opened up a lot of different accounts, and now I have 17.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's all very good information to know. So I think we should dive in. Shall we? Let's sound the bell. You're listening to MakeHer, the self-directed investing education podcast that demystifies investing and the stock market in a way that actually makes sense, but from her perspective.
That's us. We're her. That doesn't mean it's just for women. It just means it's two women's perspective, us. This podcast is teacher-learner style. I'm Jess Inskip. I act as the teacher. I've worked in the self-directed investing space for over 15 years and talk markets on CNBC, Fox Business, Yahoo Finance, the Schwab Network, and Bloomberg, and talk to brokerage firms. We're actually talking about my job for once.
Yeah. And I'm Jessie Denwee. My job is to make sure we're breaking all of these financial concepts down and explaining the jargon. All right, let's talk about all the brokerage firms. I think we could start with you talking about your job at stockbrokers.com. Jess, what is it that you do there in an office space kind of way? Just kidding.
I love it. It's always hard to describe because I wear a bunch of hats.
I can imagine.
First part of my job, which I think everyone is fully aware of, is I have to stay on top of the market, understand how it works. And the reason I have to stay on top of the market and understand how it works is I have to put myself in the lens of the retail trader and then go through all of the brokerage firms and literally create unbiased this data set. I test all of the platforms and decide who's best at what. Best for beginners, best for advanced traders, best for options traders, best for passive investors. There are a bunch of awards that we give. And once a year, we actually meet in person, or I meet in person with all of the brokerage firms. And they show me all of their tools and resources. If they have something super cool that comes out, like when Robinhood released Robinhood Legend, they pulled up on a call with me and my team and they introduced it to us. And then I added more to our data set, gave my opinion. But it's important to know the market in order to have that opinion. And then that also translates into the retail client, because this gets into market commentary, but for one brief moment, market dynamics have changed so much because of this increased retail participation, which did start during COVID. Since
and retail participation, that's us, right? Like retail investors,
Yes.
self-directed investors. Okay.
That is, yes. And since self-directed investors we call it retail participation when talking on the media. See, I haven't talked to you in a while. This is what happens. I get too jargony. But it's overtaken institutional flow, which means market dynamics have changed.
So institutional flow being, you're talking about when like brokerage firms or institutions use the tools versus retail investors, self-directed investors like us, like the average person.
In a way, I'm talking about who is placing trades on the market.
Okay.
It used to be mostly institutional, which is like big firms, hedge funds, mutual funds. The institutional side was the one trading.
Right.
Now, retail, self-directed investors are overtaken it. It's 53%.
Oh,
so
wow.
They've overtaken it by 3%. But that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big, big deal. And brokerage firms make money off of you just having cash sitting there from you trading. They payment for order flow in some way, shape, or form. We've talked about that in detail in other episodes. But because of that, they invest heavily on their tools and features. And there are different types of brokerage firms for different types of investors. And I think a lot of people are on brokerage firms that influencers are pushing, to be honest, that aren't necessarily the best. I'm not going to say may not. I know who is the best. And the ones that the influencer is pushing aren't necessarily. And you might even notice that we don't have a brokerage firm as a sponsor, which may change one day. But a lot of that is because I want to retain the unbiased opinion that I am supposed to have on my job.
Yeah. And I mean, we have used some brokerage firms features and tools to show things, but yeah, we've done it in an unbiased way, just kind of like highlighted a few different ones so that the average retail investor like us knows kind of where to look and how to use those different tools to their advantage.
Yeah. So when you are figuring out how to choose a brokerage firm, I like to bring back something we talked about a long time ago, and I don't know if you remember this, Jessie, which is skill, will, and time. So if you're trying to decide if you want to invest, do you have the skill to do it yourself? If not, that's okay. Do you have the will, the willingness to learn? And it's like a stool. You need all three of these. And do you have the time to invest or the time to learn more? Those three help you understand your brokerage path journey. So skill, will, and time.
Yeah.
And I think you have all three of those, Jessie. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah. We've got, and
definitely had the willingness to learn myself. And you know, probably because of my age and my generation and whatever, just a lack of trust in other people and like wanting to know, understand it so I can do it myself, understand how this stuff works myself so I can make the best decisions for myself.
Absolutely. You need to ask yourself a couple questions. Do you really care about research? As in understanding, do you want to understand the intricacies of the stock market? You probably do if you're listening to this podcast because we talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Do you want to be able to read analyst reports? Do you want to be able to easily find ideas? Do you want to understand the market? If so, you're going to value research. Tools or even trading platforms, that's something to consider as well. So are you someone who wants to do a lot of charting and get advanced? Then you need to make sure that you have a brokerage firm that has the right tools to do that and also grow with you. And education is also important. Do they have the right type of education? But also something that I really care about and I look at when I'm judging these brokerage firms, I call it methodical integration. And there is a category that we have. It's called ease of use. So, and it's actually the highest weight in what we weight who is the best brokerage firm. And ease of use, I think, is a very misstated word because it's overused. And when we overuse something, we tend to lose it. So ease of use to me means not only is it easy to use as in I can find what I'm looking for, but it's actually useful as well. That's the important part.
Like kind of like being user friendly. It was
Yes.
like a term it used to be called. Yeah.
User friendly. So I can find the things. So there's some brokerage firms, like public.com is a great example. Public.com is beautiful, absolutely stunning. The data and the usefulness, it's not there. They did have a new tool that they just released 4 days ago, which is great. And their education is also great. But aside from that, I personally would not trade there, and they're ranked really, really low on our scoring. And I can go through who's the top overall and for what. We can definitely talk about that.
Yeah, and where can we find like all of the research and the rankings and things you do on stockbrokers.com?
Yeah, literally go to stockbrokers.com and then type in. They're not sponsoring this episode, by the way. Actually, they don't even know I'm recording this episode.
Well, it's funny because Blaine was our very first guest on this episode back in, I don't know, episode 6 or something like that.
8. It was 8.
Oh, episode 8. We did talk about how to choose a brokerage firm and interviewed Blaine, and then Jess ended up working for them. So
I did, and that's not related. It just
no,
a
it just
happy
happened.
circumstance. Yeah.
So now you are very familiar with the methodology of stockbrokers.com and how you use that methodology to really find and rate the best brokerage firms for individuals based on whatever, like you said, their need is, their use is for it.
Yes. Okay. So I have actually what I call 4 categories of brokerage firms that I want to take you through.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
So we have your full service brokerage firms. This is where you're going to find literally everything under the sun is going to be there. As in, you can have automated investing, you can have really good, robust research, you could have active trader platforms. It basically caters to beginner investors, but also very advanced investors. And that's important to think about because it means it grows with you. That's a full service brokerage firm. And it also means the products that they offer. So full service, a lot of brokerage firms, and they even say this to me, they'll say, yeah, we offer bonds when they just offer an ETF that has bonds. No, that does not mean you have a fixed income product. That means you have ETFs. So you're full service if you have all the products, so that's a quantitative thing that I look at. So stocks, fixed income, options, crypto even, mutual funds, brokerage CDs. There are a lot of different products, and that also goes through account types. Some brokerage firms literally only have individual joint accounts. If you have more complexities like a trust or you're self-employed, you might need a SEP IRA. You might need a simple IRA. Then you might need a solo 401k. You might even need a LLC, which you can set up. These full service firms will do that. That's what we mean by full service, is whatever need you have, they're going to be able to cater to it.
And which ones are those?
So the best overall is Charles Schwab. I can say that. They won this year.
Oh, cool.
Which, I mean, makes sense because Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade did a merger. And so any gap that the other had, was totally there. But they were methodical. This is what I mean by methodical. You don't know what you're looking for a lot of times. You might know an instance, and I mean that, I don't want that to come off in a wrong way. What I mean is, like, as a user, you might say, research fixed income. And what I love about Charles Schwab is if you go to research fixed income, they'll give you a educational article on different types of fixed income products. They'll give you hey, the Fed's adjusting interest rates. Here's an economic calendar notification that you need to be aware of that you may not have realized. And on top of that, they'll say, hey, here's how we feel about the interest rate environment. That is a beautiful example of bringing together, I call it methodical, your ability to access the product, which is fixed income. They brought together research because they're telling you their opinion on the fixed income market. They brought together education because they're explaining it all. And they brought together beginners. I missed this point. They also say, hey, by the way, you're looking at this, did you know that there's an ETF for that? And that, so smart. And that's why it got the best overall, because it really catered to beginner to advanced. And it's a lovely platform. But this is going to be Schwab, Fidelity, E-Trade, Merrill, and Interactive Brokers. Those are full service brokerage firms.
Okay, so that's full service. That you said there's 4 different types?
I put them in 4 different types. Okay. Anyways, those are the big ones.
The first was full service.
Yes, exactly.
Those are the
and
full
that
service
means
ones.
you're going to get with those also incredible research. If you want to understand the stock market, like for me personally, I can't live without my Merrill account and I can't live without my Charles Schwab account. Like, do not take those away from me.
Because you like all the tools and features and alerts and research that they provide for you, because you are someone who is paying attention to the stock market every single day.
Exactly. And it also, and I trade some advanced products, I need them in certain ways. There's even some stuff on Fidelity that I can't live without. Actually, I need those 3 brokerage firms.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. And then the next one, which is really the newer brokerage firms, I'm going to call it social investing. So these are social platforms that offer investing.
So like Robinhood.
And it's not Robinhood.
Oh,
because they don't-
social.
Yeah.
Interesting.
One would think Robinhood. Like, I got where your head's at. It's like Webull, eToro, and public.com is that.
Okay.
So
interesting.
all 3 of these, they don't have that research. They don't offer even mutual funds. They don't have a full breadth of products because they don't have an economic calendar. So you don't know if the Fed's going to talk today. That to me is a problem. The way that but it may not be for someone else, because this is what I mean by brokerage firms are different because we're all different. We all value different things. However, what they do have that the others do not is they fill the gaps with comments and like a social media platform. So you could go on a feed and you could see what other people are saying, and they'll tell you, oh, like, why is the market moving? And then they'll have a screenshot from CNBC or something like that. And so they'll fill the gap of lack of research with other people. But then you have to realize that's other people. But if that's what you value.
It almost sounds like if you're on the Wall Street Bets Reddit, but it was also a brokerage firm platform.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're like listening to a lot of other people who may or may not know what they're talking about. And like, instead of going through boring research, which might be boring, but it's factual,
Even going back to the basics, like if you were going to hit, I know I did the example of research fixed income. Let's say you go on a brokerage firm and you hit research stocks. I expect the same thing. I expect you to tell me what a stock is there, because you don't know about me as the user. You don't know if I'm beginner or advanced. Actually, I have a lot of data, and they probably do, because they give you personas. I know they do at Merrill because I work there, and we did that.
I mean, most big corporations have personas. Yeah, it's part of a marketing strategy for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But I helped build this whole AI thing actually on the dashboard for Merrill.
At Merrill? Oh, cool.
Many moons ago. If you ever go on that landing page, it's called Dynamic Insights. That literally is built by my brain.
Totally going to go look at it.
It hasn't been updated since I left, but it has a little bit. I take that back. Anyways, I digress because I know people from Merrill work there. Hi, for listening to this. Hi, old colleagues. But huge shout out, as in, if you're going to research stocks at Merrill, you're going to see a CTA or a call to action that's going to explain what a stock is. You're going to have a call to action that's going to give you a research experience so you can understand what is this company. We did a episode on it, Stock Story. What is this company? What industry are they in? What's their sector? What's their performance versus the S&P 500? All of that, I expect to see that. And get an expert opinion as well. You'll get that on full service. You will not get that on the social platforms. That's not going to happen. Right. You're just going to get the bare bones minimum. Like public.com is a great example for that. There is bare bones minimum information. If you want a Morningstar report, you have to pay a subscription for that. Oh. But that's free over at the full service ones.
Interesting.
Yes.
Why would you pay for these days when it's, that barrier is gone, why would anyone pay for anything?
I understand it in some ways because the full service offer fixed income is a really big KPI, like key performance indicator. You can make a lot of money off of that. And if you don't offer fixed income, then maybe you have to compensate otherwise.
Oh. Why wouldn't they all offer fixed income? Can they not? Are they not allowed?
It's just expensive. So they're newer brokerage firms. So they absolutely allowed. But then they offer crypto and other stuff that the others don't. But
yeah. One thing real quick. Is Vanguard a full service one too? Or no? You didn't mention that one, did you?
It's not.
Okay.
No,
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Just
it
being
doesn't have
someone who's used it.
All the bells and whistles. But if you just want to be a passive investor, which I mean just buy index funds, Vanguard's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, having a brokerage firm is a great step. And if you don't like it, you can go get another one.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So we have the full service ones and then the social ones. What are the other two?
I'm going to call it next gen. This is, I'm going to put Robinhood in here, and I put Ally Bank.
Ooh.
Yeah. Robinhood is next generation. They cater to that next generational client. They're not necessarily social because they have more bells and whistles, but they're not full service. They're like the jack of the trades. They're, but with supreme education. They have really, really great education.
They do now. They didn't at first, and they got in trouble. That's what they got in trouble for making it too gamified.
They did. Yeah. Which you should gamify education, and we can talk about the gamify another day. I've got thoughts.
Well, yeah. I mean, they gamified trading, not education, though. So like now they're more educational. Like they will have these pop-ups now, and they'll be like, you can do margin investing, and it's like they actually will tell you what that is briefly.
Yes.
That's why we had to do an episode on it, because I was like, I still don't understand what this is. We need to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's next gen. Well, Ally Bank is... it's definitely Ally Bank first, and then they offer investing, but it's all about passive investing. And I think that's for the next generation.
That high yield savings account. Yeah. That's where I got mine when everyone was talking about high yield savings accounts years ago. I was like, oh, yeah, let me open one of those. Great.
So if you're like a goal-based investor where you want sinking funds, you want a high yield savings account, and then your investing is literally just buying index funds and chill, Ally Bank is great for that.
Yeah. It's pretty simple.
You don't want to research the market? Cool. No worries. And then there's specialty. This is the fourth one. Tasty Trade. I love me some Tasty Trade because I like options. That's their specialty in options trading. If you trade options, you do not go anywhere else. That is the place that, I mean, you do, but that is, if you tell me you trade options and you trade options at Robinhood, I'm going to look at you. They're getting there. They just don't have the right data points.
Yeah. It's not educational enough. I'm like, I feel like people need to know a little bit more before they start getting into options. It's way more advanced.
So their education is good, but it's not integrated into the platform. It's like a separate experience.
Where's the education at?
It's before you log in. So you can't log in, and then you go, I have to Google it actually to get there, which is a problem.
Well, because most of us use the app. So it's like,
exactly.
If it's not on the app, no one's seeing it. I guarantee you.
I completely agree. But you know what? Who has better education on options anyways is Tasty Trade. They have literally the best, and they have the right data. And as an options trader, there is the correct data. Robinhood encourages, it seems like it from the data that they show, to be very speculative. Public.com does too. And so anybody who tells me that they trade options and go to either one of those, I'm literally...
You're like, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I was trying not to be harsh. And then the other specialty is interactive brokers. Have you ever heard of interactive brokers?
No, I don't know anything about them.
So they are also under full service, but I also put them under a specialty. They are the most global trader. You can access every single foreign market out there, crypto, anything that you want, you can find at interactive brokers. They also have the lowest margin rates. They have an amazing active trader platform, but they will give you institutional tools for the retail trader. So if you want to, I'm going to throw out some words, but if you want to beta weight and delta hedge your entire portfolio, you can do that at interactive brokers.
Okay. That sounds advanced, but if you're advanced, maybe check that one out.
The point is, those are the 4 different categories. Totally different things that cater to different investors.
You know, and this brings up a good point. This was going to be my first question before we even got into all these different brokerage firms. How do you even, like, what exactly is a brokerage firm? Like, all those are called brokerage firms. When I think firm, I always think like law firm. So like, what is a brokerage firm? Is it, and all of those, like Robinhood and the Tasties, like those are all considered brokerage firms, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So it's in the name, Jesse.
Oh.
Of course.
They do firm brokerages of your trades.
Firm is an entity, right?
Yeah.
And brokerage, so you broker a transaction, right?
So they're brokering the deal for the I don't
trade.
call it a deal, but yeah, trade.
Well, and back in the day, it was physical certificates.
Right.
And you had to hold those at a brokerage firm. Like you hold your cash at a bank.
Yeah.
They hold your securities. And
they still do. Not with, it's just digitally now.
Exactly. There are still some stock certificates floating around, which we can totally talk about how that works.
Oh,
at some
interesting.
point. But a brokerage firm connects you to the stock market. It's like if you needed a plug, it's like you choose the plug that's just going to plug it into the stock market. That's your brokerage firm.
It's like the dongle you need to attach something into your, this is a Apple term, but yeah, the MacBook. Like I can't just plug
Yes.
anything into there. I have to have the right dongle to then plug in the cable to the computer.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good analogy because you might need a dongle that has an Ethernet cable and like to HDMI. So, but that really depends on your setup, right?
Yeah, you might want one that does multiple things, so you only have to have one to
Oh.
plug in, and you can plug in multiple cables into it. Or maybe you just want the one that does the one thing because that's the only thing you need it for.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to know, okay, is this brokerage firm good or not? Literally go to stockbrokers.com and click on brokerage reviews, and you will see my thoughts in excessive detail on every single one.
I'm going to do that because I don't know why I just didn't do that. I'm just like, oh, I'll just ask her. And then we get, carried away into whatever conversation. Okay, so that's what a brokerage firm is. It's the middle entity into between you and the stock market or whatever market you're trying to buy a product from in investing. So you need to have one. Okay, a question I was wondering recently is it always brokerage firms who create mutual funds and ETFs, or can anyone do that? Like, how does that work?
Oh, so sometimes there are brokerage firms that also are investment companies that create funds like Charles Schwab and Fidelity and Vanguard and Merrill, whereas there are also investment firms. There's a lot. So like Tidal is a big one. Neo
And like BlackRock, right? BlackRock's not a brokerage firm, but they
No,
have
it's not.
like the iShares and like the
All
ETFs, all
that.
this stuff. Okay.
So many. So yeah, those are fund companies.
Okay.
And those are different, but a brokerage firm can also be a fund company.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask. So like, for example, if I have a brokerage account at Vanguard, does it make a difference if I buy a Vanguard mutual fund or ETFs like VOO that everyone knows? Do I get any benefit for that because I have an account with them, or is it the same for everybody no matter where you buy their fund?
So the exchange traded funds have expense ratios. Those are going to be pretty consistent. Those are consistent.
Okay.
Mutual funds that have five, remember we had that episode.
Yeah, the
many
5
moons ago.
letters ends with the X.
You look at you. Yes. Those vary by brokerage firm because you have an agreement. So it's less at Fidelity funds are going to be cheaper at Fidelity.
Oh, okay.
Vanguard funds are going to be cheaper at Vanguard. But some of these companies are also 401k companies. Like your 401k could be with Fidelity. Your 401k can be with Vanguard. Your 401k could be with Merrill. But the 401k companies, so think about mutual funds are a big pool of assets, and you want more assets under management means a higher fee that fund manager gets.
Yeah.
So if you're a big company, like a huge company like United Healthcare, and you have your 401k planted wherever, your 401k, that's why it has lower fees normally, is because it's not just you buying the mutual fund, it is people at your company. And then sometimes that it can extend over to the self-directed, and then there's others where it has like lower minimums, so that one varies. Mutual funds varies by brokerage firm a lot. That's a good question.
So then if I have, so say like, I don't work at that big company anymore and I still have that 401k at that brokerage firm and I want to roll it over into a different brokerage firm, does that mean I might want to, because when you roll over an old 401k into a new place, like a new brokerage firm, either if it's like into a IRA or whatever, you have to re-buy all the securities and things you want for your 401k again?
Yeah, normally it has to be liquidated, and then you have to put it into that account. So the process with that is when you choose your brokerage firm, you call the receiving one. The receiving one wants your assets. They're going to handhold you through it. Also, if you
because
are
they want your money.
Yes. if you are ever doing an account transfer, so say you hear this episode and you're like, I want to go to Fidelity or Charles Schwab, anywhere, inclusive of rolling over a 401k or even a big lump sum of cash into your brokerage firm, call them up and understand if they're going to give you an incentive for that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that too. How do you find who has incentives for either rolling over a 401k or if you just want to open a new account or transfer from one account into a new brokerage account at a new brokerage firm? How do you find out who has the incentives? Do you have an article on that?
Every time that we have an article, the incentive is posted there. It's the way that my firm makes money, to be honest. But they are negotiable. And I will say this from working there.
I did not know that. Okay.
100%. If you say, I've got $250,000 and if I bring this over to Fidelity, they're going to offer me $1,000 for that. And you have, say, Schwab has a $600 offer, you could say, hey, can you match this? You 1,000% can ask.
Oh, it's genius. I didn't know that.
And that cash that you receive is also for an IRA. So you can get like an extra $1,000 in your IRA.
Amazing information for everyone to know. I never thought that I could negotiate something like a sign-on bonus or a rollover bonus or whatever you want to call it. So great. I think we should maybe go over some questions that beginners often ask, according to Google when I was trying to do some research. But I think they're pretty common sense, like questions people might have. So what documents do we need to open an account?
Oh, so this is a know your client rule. We call it the KYC rule. Basically, you're going to give every bit of information about you, but you need an investor profile. And it's called also, there's so many acronyms, IPQ, Investor Profile Questionnaire. So basic things, first name, last name. You're going to need to give your social security number. If you don't have one of those, then that's going to really filter out brokerage firms that you can choose because you need to make sure they can handle a foreign entity or foreign person, like green card holders, date of birth. Then they're going to want to know a ton of information about you. What's your experience? What's your income level? Where's your job? And that's all know your client rules.
Do you need to have a bank account with funds in it already to transfer into a brokerage account, or can you just like send money a different way?
Yeah, there's no minimums for almost all of them. Almost all of them. The big ones. I think there's a minimum for ones that I didn't even say. So I have, for example, 17 brokerage accounts. That's for my job. I've got money in 3 of them, but the other 14 are 0 and they're still open. You can open in the brokerage account purely just to play around with it if you want.
But do you still have to connect a bank account to it when you open it?
No.
Mm-mm. Oh, okay. So you can just open one.
Yep.
To like look at how it looks.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't fund it after a while, eventually they'll close it on you. But
okay. Yeah. So you don't need money or a bank account necessarily to open a brokerage account, but you do need a bank account to transfer funds into one, right?
I mean, we do have some investors that aren't US. You can fund some of them with crypto.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but not all of them, but some of them. But if you're honestly not in the US, Interactive Brokers is probably going to be your best one, to be honest. You just connect your bank account. Like you would link your bank account to PayPal. Very similar process, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I guess most brokerage firms have no minimums, but some might require more.
Some do, which again are not any that I listed. So I'm going to say there aren't any minimums. Like,
okay, cool.
There are not any minimums, but some require you to have subscriptions in order to access certain things.
Okay.
And those are not the full service ones.
Again, choose what's right for you.
Yeah. This is a good point though, that just hit me from what you said. I personally automate a portion on the 30th of every month to go into my investing account. I have a portion of my income that goes from my main bank account that goes into my investing account. I linked it up. And then I have a portion that also goes into my son's account.
And when you, just for the record, when you have that money transfer automatically from your bank account into your brokerage account, do you still have to then go and buy the product you want, whether it's like a stock or bond or whatever, with that money, or can it automatically go into a fund, for example?
See, this is a good question. I do that with Merrill. That does not have automated investing. If I were to switch that over to Schwab or even Fidelity and put it in a mutual fund at Merrill, it would, but it doesn't have the feature. So I have to manually go in. But I also am very tactical with my funds because I pay attention with the market.
Yeah, you're like in there every day.
I am,
or, you know,
because
whatever.
but I'm required
Yeah.
to, and so it's easier for me because it is part of my job. But that brings up a good point of that's you deciding your tools and features. If you don't have the time, like I do, and you want to automate it where there's an automatic purchase, then you need to go to a brokerage firm that does that.
Okay, so you're looking for, if that's the case, you're looking for a brokerage firm that lets you set up automatic withdrawals from your bank like once a month or however often. That's also called dollar cost averaging.
Yes.
We just talked about that. And you are looking, what's the feature? Is that what a drip is?
That's a dividend reinvestment program.
Oh, that's for your dividends. That's right.
Yes. That's
So then what
different.
is it for your automatic deposits? What would that be called?
Automatic investing.
Okay. And then you choose the investment that money automatically goes into each month?
Yeah, you could say I would want, especially firms with fractional shares, I would want $100 a month to go into this index fund, or maybe it's a basket portfolio I created. Schwab does that. That's why Schwab is number one, because they do everything.
Nice.
Merrill does it through it's like this robo hybrid model, which actually is still really good. You'd set up a goal. So you'd say, okay, why am I saving these funds? I'm saving these funds because I want to retire, or maybe I want to travel, or I want to buy a house or something like that. You decide how risky you want to be. You decide what time frame this is, and then it'll make a custom portfolio for you. And then that one does automatic funding and automatic investing
Okay.
and automatic rebalancing.
Can it come out of a paycheck into there, or it have to come out of your bank account, right?
You can do it from your paycheck. I actually
just,
used to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you'll get a from your paycheck. I guess if your paycheck allows it to like split it
Yeah.
up, but
Like how you can choose for like, oh, I want 80% of my paycheck to go to my checkings and then 20% to go into my savings. You could choose 20% to go, or whatever.
yeah, you just
To
routing
go
an account
into
number.
your-
You'll get
Yeah.
a separate routing and account number. You can
Yeah,
100%
'cause
do that.
You are opening an account essentially. And that's something we probably, I know we've done episodes on this, but like when you open a profile at a brokerage firm, you do have to choose an account type, whether that's a IRA, Roth IRA, or a non-retirement account,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
So whichever one you're doing, you then, like we're saying, fund it with money from your bank. And then you do need to go in and buy those products that you want, whether that's stock, bond, fund, whatever it is. Don't forget
Yes.
to make sure you purchase. Like once you can't just like transfer money into your brokerage account or brokerage firm and be like, cool, I'm investing, because you're not. It's just sitting there either in a money market or whatever.
So this is where features come in, though. The full service brokerage firms are going to give you courses that will walk you through this. They will actually give you checklists. They will email them to you like automatically, because they offer absolutely everything. They will also give you curated stock lists. So if you want to purchase all of Warren Buffett's stocks, you can. Like there's a list for that. If you just want to do just starting out, like that, remember we went through Ideal Builder, which is it is my favorite stock screener. You could type in data, infrastructure, or AI, or you could say just starting out, and it gives you a list of what to do or what to invest in when you're starting out. Whereas if you go to other platforms, they don't have that. That's what I mean by the difference of tools and features. When you are investing, we're talking about a beginner step, which is choosing your brokerage firm. And I think we're due for another like what to do next episode. Mm-hmm. That's the start. Then there's asset allocation. There's rebalancing, which we did a whole episode on how to build a portfolio. Brokerage firms are going to have tools to help you do that.
Well, and now I know what you mean by full service brokerage firms do that, because mine clearly is not. And I did not, I think there was a couple quizzes, but it was not walking me through all these things at all, and checklists and all those things. A full service brokerage firm, or maybe for a beginner, like you said, you have lists that are like, this is the best for beginners. Because, yeah, if that might be very helpful to you if you're not really sure. Or if you're just starting in investing, like, and you don't really know all these things yet, you don't want to miss a step. You don't want to forget something or like just leave your money sitting there. You want to make sure you're investing it the way you want it.
Absolutely. And if you understand it, which is, there's so much in the investing world. There's so much.
But you can always call your brokerage firm and they will help you. They want your money, so they're going to help you.
Yes, you could literally, this used to be my job at some point in my life. I would talk to clients all day and they would ask me how certain things work and I would point them to tools and resources. I would show them what to look at and how to be the best self-directed investor, like literally my job. Yeah. And these are people with millions and millions of dollars. And also people who had $5. Like, it doesn't matter how much you have.
Money is money. They want that money. That's how it all works. Well, okay. You picked your brokerage firm, you got all your documents, you opened the profile, you choose the account type you want, you've connected it to your bank account, decided if you're doing automatic payments or just like putting money in whenever you can. And then you buy the types of products is what they're called, but stock funds, bonds, whatever, treasuries, if they offer that stuff. And then that's it, right? Is that everything?
For choosing for beginners, if we're starting out, that's what you need to get started.
So then what about like if I want to get my money out of a brokerage firm or investing accounts?
Same way. If you linked your account, you can just pull it out that way. But if it's an IRA, then, we want to be careful. One, if you decide you want to transfer to another brokerage firm, call your brokerage firm or do it online. You want it to go through what we call the ACAT system because it won't trigger any tax forms. We don't want tax forms.
Good to know. Yes.
Because
you're just transferring it or rolling it over into a new account. You're not like liquidating your IRA and keeping that money. You're just moving it to another IRA.
You can move it in kind. Like if you've got shares of a bunch of shares of VOO or Apple or whatever, you could move that exactly as it is and plop it somewhere else. It's like relocating the home with everything in it.
Now, can you do that with non-retirement accounts?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They make it easy to go through that system. I mean, there are some limitations. Like if you've got options, for example, you don't want to do that. And sometimes it takes 7 to 10 business days. It's gotten a little quicker, but sometimes it's in limbo. So you can't touch
that
it.
Means you're not making money on your investments.
You're making money on those investments. You still own it. You did not sell it, but you cannot sell it. You don't have access to it. It's in limbo.
I see.
It's in the cloud and wherever it goes.
Okay, good to know. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we talked about tools and features and fees and research and all of the things. You can go check out if you're a beginner, an active trader, a long-term investor, like whatever your situation is. Maybe figure out what kind of investor you are, and then you can choose the right one for you. Just remember, when you sell things, it triggers a tax event unless you're rolling it over into a new place. Keep all those things in mind.
If you signed up for our ebook, we just switched over providers. If anyone who's been here for a while, if you get the ebook, we categorize you as a beginner investor. Well, and then you can uncategorize yourself, but anyways, you'll get a series of emails that will walk you through exactly what we're saying.
Great. Things might look a little different coming from us. It's still us. So
it is.
Do not
it's only
unsubscribe. It's still us. It just looks a little different now.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any beginner mistakes to avoid?
Just do your homework. That's it. Don't listen to a financial influencer. Also see if they're getting paid.
Like, is that person that you follow incentivized to tell you to go to a specific firm or HYSA or anything like that? Then
why do they like that brokerage firm? I can't tell you how many lives I've listened to or gone through, and there's all of them. It's public.com. It's the main contender. I wrote that in my review. Like, you probably heard this from your favorite financial influencer. Is it really the best platform?
Right.
The answer is no, it's not the best platform. Is it a good platform? Sure. Is it the best? Absolutely not.
Basically, do your research. Don't YOLO your savings into meme stocks that you've seen on TikTok or whatever some influencer is telling you to do just because they say so. Make sure you're, fact checking.
They should say that they're getting compensated for it, but they do not.
Yeah. seems not right. So to sum it up, your brokerage is basically the neighborhood you choose to build your dream home. To bring back that analogy we made way back in episode, I think 10.
Oh, yes. You're building your dream home. This is
That's
the
right.
neighborhood where you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Some have an HOA, like subscription requirements.
Right.
But then other neighborhoods give you that for free. So why are you paying that HOA? Do your homework. You do not need thousands of dollars or an MBA or doctorate to get started. Just curiosity and the willingness to learn, skill, will, and time. We help you build your foundational knowledge on this podcast to give you the confidence to get started on your investing journey. We want you to make educated and informed decisions.
That's right. We're here with you every step of the way and pretty much have an episode for everything at this point that you could possibly need to know when learning how to get started investing. But if you want more, we're working on more educational, maybe walkthrough classes for you. We have things in the pipeline, so stay tuned. Let us know what would be the most helpful for you, and, we'll figure it out.
We've got some fun ideas. Thanks for joining us today. If you'd please be so kind to leave us a review. They absolutely make our day. I've got a couple to read. Let me read one. We have a review from Jill Higg. She called it addictive. 5 stars. Thank you both for your hard work and sharing your knowledge. I love the way you teach us about investing. I have learned so much. I found out about your podcast from the Tyler Gardner interview. Thank you, Tyler. He's got a great podcast called The Money Guide on Your Side. I actually learned a lot from that podcast. Mind you, we're self-directed investing. That is financial planning. If you want financial planning, please head on over there. Now I'm addicted. I listen to you daily, trying to catch up on all past episodes. Thank you again. That is so sweet.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I hope we can keep up with your content consumption. That's so nice, though.
Thanks for joining us on Market MakeHer. If this episode helped you, share it with your friends. And once again, leave us a review.
I really love those reviews. I just really enjoy waking up Jessie in the middle of the night, to be honest, because they bring me joy.
She does. That's
yes.
true.
And remember, when you build knowledge,
You break barriers.
Remember, investing involves risk. There is always potential to lose money when investing in securities. Market Maker provides educational content and resources for informational purposes only. We are not registered financial advisors and do not provide personalized investment advice. Any information provided by Market Maker on our website or podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial advice. Market Maker is not liable for any investment decisions made based on our content.